So, you are consciousness. Chidruposi. What does that mean? You see, consciousness is there in every one of our experiences. And after all, what is life if not experiences? Our life is just experiences of all sorts. And consciousness is there in every experience. In fact, an elegant definition of experience. What experience? Any experience, every experience. Definition is consciousness plus object. There is an experience. There is something which is experienced and something which is experiencing in every experience. And that's what we call subject and object, basically. Instead of using the word subject, I'm using consciousness, awareness. I'm using words like consciousness, pure consciousness, awareness, interchangeably. So every experience, all experiences are nothing but consciousness plus an object. What object? Any object, anything. Anything that you experience is called an object. In Sanskrit, chit, jara. Chit means consciousness, awareness. Jara means that which is an object to consciousness. Think of our consciousness as an unlimited field. Then it runs up against something. And it immediately illumines it. We see something, hear something, smell or taste, touch something, think of something, feel something. They are all objects. Why? They object to your consciousness. Consciousness spreading without limits, suddenly it runs up against this. Microphone. It's an object and lit up by consciousness, that is experience. In every experience there is consciousness. All perceptions, there is consciousness. Isn't it so? When you are seeing something, are you not aware? If you are not aware, could you see? There is Niyant taking a photograph. He is seeing me, he is aware. And the camera which he is using has almost a similar structure to his eyes. And it's capturing the image also, but it is not aware. There is no experience in the camera. But in Niyant, there is an experience going on. So there is no consciousness there. Therefore, there is no experience there. Experience is consciousness plus object. Any perception, whatever perceptions are going on right now, there is awareness. And that we don't need such a lecture for that. You notice, yes, I am aware. But not just perceptions, also emotions. Whenever we feel sad. You cannot feel sad without being conscious. Whenever there is emotion, there is consciousness, awareness. You feel happy, first of all aware and then happy. You feel lonely, first of all aware and then lonely. Then any kind of idea, understanding. You work hard at mathematics, at science, at philosophy. All of that is done in consciousness. All ideas arise, experienced, and disappear in consciousness. You struggled with your schoolwork at school. Then you got it. You understood the mathematics. That was in consciousness. When you're struggling to understand, you're aware that you're struggling. When you got it, you're aware that you got it. And today, 20, 30, 40 years later, you've forgotten it all. Thank God. And you're aware that there's a lot of knowledge which is gone now. I don't remember. Awareness continues. So in all ideas there is awareness. In all actions. I'm speaking, I'm aware. It's a conscious experience of words. You're sitting, walking, talking, eating, boating. So all that, there is awareness there throughout. In all actions there is awareness, consciousness. In all memory there is consciousness. Whenever you recall things from the past, happy, sad, memories, consciousness is there. This consciousness is present in all our experiences, throughout our days, but not just throughout our days. When we fall asleep, when we go, you forget this beautiful retreat place, the lake and the sky. You forget the room you're sleeping in. The bed you're sleeping disappears from your awareness. The body, your own body, which we consider, I am this disappears. But you don't disappear. The consciousness does not disappear because a world of dreams now appears before you. There are people appearing and places and experiences and emotions and ideas and good and bad, happy and sad. All of those are appearing. Consciousness continues. Without consciousness, those things would not be possible. Awareness continues there. In dream. In deep sleep, it continues. Now, this is a question which people raise, that all of this is fine, Swami, but it breaks down in deep sleep, in coma, in anesthesia. No, in deep sleep it continues. What is deep sleep? Imagine all of it blanked out. You don't see anything, hear anything, smell, taste, touch anything. You don't feel anything. You don't imagine anything. You don't think of anything. You don't remember anything, don't desire anything, don't like or hate anything. You don't even think that I am sleeping. Oh, this must be sleep, I am sleeping. If you think that, you are not sleeping. Even that is not there. But all of these, notice, they are all objects. When these are removed, we haven't said a single thing about consciousness. There is consciousness there in deep sleep also, but alone, without an object. Nothing objects to consciousness, so you don't have an experience. Or you might say it's an experience of nothingness. It's not a blankness, but it's an experience of blankness. It's an experience of nothingness. And again, I've said many times, it's not an absence of awareness, it's an awareness of absence. You can think of deep sleep as that. That is what happens in deep sleep. All throughout consciousness, awareness is present. Consciousness and awareness, it's present. Notice it continues. Other things come and go. The things that you see are continuously changing. What you saw just now before this coming to the hall was different. Early morning it was different. Your room was different. Before coming to the lake it was different. What you taste and eat, what you're eating at home and what you're eating now, different. The people you're meeting now, different. The temperature is different. All the experiences, the sense experiences continuously keep changing. But awareness does not change. This is a subtle point, but it's important to note. You say, but our experiences keep changing. Yes. Why do our experiences keep changing? Because our experiences have two components: object of experience and consciousness. If the objects keep changing, experiences will keep changing. But that does not mean consciousness is changing. Do I need to repeat that? Objects keep changing. What we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, what we think, what we feel, what we remember, what we desire, keeps changing throughout the day. And therefore our experiences keep changing. Think of the consciousness like this light. This light, the same light pervades the entire room. But there's so many things which are revealed by the light. The people, the chairs, the carpet, the ambience, it's all revealed by the light. And it can change. Different people can come, the setup of the room can change. The same light will keep on revealing. Just because the contents of the room have changed does not mean the light has changed. What reveals remains the same. Consciousness is not changing. The contents of consciousness, the contents of our experience keep changing. Therefore, our experiences keep changing. Consciousness does not change. It is continuous, one and continuous. Not only that, not only does it change, another subtle point, very important, it is not affected by our experiences. A stunning point. It is not modified by our experiences. It is not wounded, injured, traumatized by our experiences. Yes, the body can be traumatized, body can be hurt by an accident, by a disease. And consciousness, it reveals the injured body. It reveals the trauma in the body. The mind can be traumatized. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. What is traumatized there? The mind. So now you begin to understand in what sense we are using consciousness, not the usual discourse. So when people say, my consciousness has been transformed, spiritual path is a path of transformation of consciousness, you'll immediately object. So no, as we understand it and as we experience it, consciousness in itself cannot be transformed. Consciousness cannot be transformed. No, spiritual life is a growth of consciousness. That's a lazy way of speaking. That's an imprecise way of speaking. There is transformation, there is growth, there is development, there is purification. But of what? Of the mind and maybe of the body also. But not consciousness. The body has grown and changed from babyhood to childhood to middle age to youth and middle age to old age and finally death. Body series of changes, 6 changes they talk about. Shadvikara. Birth, coming into existence, maturation, middle age, aging, and death. And all of these are revealed by the consciousness which is not born with birth, does not come into existence with being born, does not develop in school. It does not become young, does not become middle-aged, does not become old, does not die. And again, what I'm saying is, this is not a theory. Notice that it's so, it is a fact. If you don't think it's a fact, and be honest, so keep it in the question, in reserve. You have to do 2 things with it. That, no, I'm not convinced. Then ask yourself, why am I not convinced? You will usually see that you are mixing up consciousness with something which is changing. That's why you're not convinced that consciousness does not change. If still not clear, then have a question at the end. Consciousness is not affected, is not modified by our experiences. The movie screen, a good example. You play a tragedy, the screen does not become miserable. Is the screen weeping buckets of tears after? The audience maybe, after the most tragic movie, but the screen would be pretty soggy and would be pretty useless for the next movie if it does not, it's pretty heartless, does not shed a single tear for all the travails of the hero. For comedy, is the screen giggling and chuckling? No, not at all. Screen is not excited in an action movie. The screen is not affected by the movie that plays on the screen. Similarly, consciousness is not affected, modified, traumatized, upset, delighted, fulfilled by what appears in consciousness. Mind and body will be affected, surely. What else? Consciousness is open. Notice, like the sky, planes are flying through the sky out there, and clouds are floating through it. Dust is there all floating in the sky. Birds fly through it. Insects fly through it. And then it can be empty at some time, nothing. Light shines through it, and bright blue, blazing blue sky there. And at night, dark, black, same sky. It is open to everything that arises and disappears in the sky. Similarly, consciousness is totally open to every object. Consciousness is totally open to every object. Good thoughts are revealed by consciousness. The very fact that I have miserable thoughts, obsessive thoughts, unhappy thoughts, all revealed by consciousness. Consciousness has no resistance. Mind may resist. Unhappy thoughts, traumatic thoughts. Mind may want nostalgic thoughts, beautiful thoughts, loving thoughts, holy thoughts, pure thoughts, spiritual thoughts. Consciousness neither wants nor resists. It is open to all kinds of thoughts and feelings. If it was not open, you would not feel it. It is open to everything in the universe. And why should it not be? It's not affected by anything. If it was not open to something, it would not arise in consciousness at all. You wouldn't experience it. This consciousness is the self, is you. Chidruposi. You might say, wonderful for consciousness, sounds like an amazing thing, but I have many problems. Wait, you are that consciousness. Normally we think, before examination, before Advaita, before Ashtavakra, we think, I am this. Without examining it, I naturally think, behave and speak as if I am this bundle. A bundle of what? Body, flesh and blood, the physical living body, and mind with all its components, a personality with emotions and memories and desires and tendencies, and an ego which coordinates everything, intellect. This bundle, and I'll say, yes, I'm not denying that I'm aware, there's consciousness, there's awareness, but that's just part of what I am. After Advaita, after examination, after Ashtavakra, we must say, no, consciousness is not part of what I am. Consciousness is what I am. I am consciousness and consciousness is I, the real I. And all of these, the rest, body, thoughts, emotions, personality, desires, ideas, these are all appearances, objects in consciousness. Again, note, at every point, it's not a theory, isn't it true? Why am I not a bundle of body-mind consciousness? Because they are not on the same level. It's like saying, when you look at a movie, say, oh, there is the hero, there's the hero's car, there's the hero's mom and dad, and there is the screen. No. The screen is not part of the movie. The screen is that on which enables the movie, which is open to the movie, in which the movie plays. The screen is just the screen. That is the reality. You are just consciousness, in which appears a body, in which appears a mind, in which appears a personality. Forgetting yourself as consciousness. Just like when we watch a movie, we forget the screen. And it's good that you forget the screen, otherwise you can't really enjoy the movie. Just imagine, oh look, King Kong has arrived on the screen. Now King Kong is doing terrible things on the screen. If you keep remembering the screen, you won't really enjoy the movie. But we know that the screen is there. We know that it's a movie. Therefore, we are not scared of King Kong. In a movie hall, you can see a giant gorilla doing tremendous things, tremendous devastation. And people enjoy it and clap and are delighted. If a little real monkey actually came into this movie hall, people would scream and run away. So everybody knows it's a movie. Similarly, we know that I am consciousness. The moment you become bundled up with body, mind, and forget I am consciousness, samsara starts, good and bad. We are sucked into it. But when we know that I am consciousness, you don't have to switch off the movie. The movie can keep playing. In fact, let the movie play. It's delightful. When you know that I am consciousness, and then through consciousness I experience a wealth of objects shining in me, arising and disappearing in me, some pleasant, some unpleasant, then it's joy. Then it's delight. Then no longer samsara, it becomes delight. Sri Ramakrishna used to call it Mojar Kuti, the house of mirth. Because it's the house of mirth. All right. One technical difference. All this sounds nice and cool, but one technical difference must be kept in mind, a conceptual structure, which will help us to understand this better and also answer many questions. For example, a big question would be, you're saying everything arises in consciousness, in my consciousness, but is that really true? You see, there are many things going on in the hall outside. I don't know. It's not arising in my consciousness. There are millions of people around there. Some different things are arising in their consciousness. Different experiences are happening in my consciousness. It doesn't seem to be one consciousness in which everything is arising. That doesn't seem to be the case. This is the argument against what is called subjective idealism. Here is the answer. Listen to this carefully. Make a difference between consciousness and knowledge. Consciousness, awareness, chaitanya, chit, whatever Ashtavakra is speaking about. Awareness itself, consciousness itself, and knowledge. What is knowledge? The same consciousness shining on this mind, lighting up the mind, becomes what is called a pramata, a knower. This is the sentient being, the jiva, the one which calls itself Sarvapriyananda. What is that? Awareness shining on a mind with its own distinctive cluster of impressions, personality, history, lights it up. And this mind, this lit up mind, we call this the reflected consciousness in the mind. The mind with its reflected consciousness, now it deploys a series of instruments of knowledge. In Sanskrit, pramana. Then this mind with its reflected consciousness, borrowed light, is now becomes a knower. In Sanskrit, pramata. Being a knower with instruments of knowledge. What are the instruments of knowledge? Sounds fancy. Eyes. Right now you are deploying an instrument of knowledge. That consciousness shining in that mind. Now is deploying ears. And attention is now the mind with its reflected consciousness is directed to the input from the ears. And you become a knower, a hearer. You are hearing my words. My words become the known object, prameya. And you get a knowledge, prama. So, knower, knowable object, instrument of knowledge, and knowledge. 4 things. Who is the knower? You are. How are you a knower? With the instruments of knowledge, like ears and eyes and tongue and nose and touch, and things like inference. You make scientific observations, conclusions based on data gathered, and common sense inference also. And many other ways. Book knowledge. We read something and we get some knowledge. All of those are instruments of knowledge. And by that you get knowledge, prama, about knowable things. What are knowable things? For example, the words I'm speaking are knowable things. People you see around you are knowable. The food you taste is knowable. The book you read, Ashtavakra book you're reading, knowable. So all these are knowable. In Sanskrit, prameya. Using pramana, instruments of knowledge, you, the pramata, knower, get knowledge, prama. Now, why I'm saying this? There is a vast difference, gulf between the original pure consciousness, awareness, and this knower. This knower is very limited. Shining on this mind, from this perspective, with this set of instruments, I'm getting a tiny slice of knowledge. Sure, I don't know what's going on outside the room because I don't have the instrument to go there. I will have to physically travel there, carrying my set of instruments of knowledge and focus it there to know that. But then I will lose contact with this. That's how we know tiny slices of things. And the rest, we have a generally vague feeling that there is a vast world out there which is not an object of my knowledge right now. That's how we experience life, in tiny slices. But all of it takes place in awareness. Notice, this much is our slice of knowledge right now, and the rest of it's beyond our knowledge. It's the realm of the unknown. Follow this. This known and that unknown are both in our awareness. This is in our awareness as the known, as the seen, as the heard, as the smelled, tasted, touched, understood, thought about, remembered. And the vast is also in our awareness as a vague unknown, unthought of, unseen, unheard, unremembered, ununderstood, untasted. It can be heard, thought, tasted later on. So everything in life is in consciousness, as known as unknown. Then you'll begin to see what Advaita Vedanta is saying is making more sense. If you only think as knower, you will see only a little bit is in my knowledge. The rest is just outside. How can you say everything is in consciousness? Everything is in consciousness as the known and the unknown. And the boundaries of known and unknown keep changing, depending on how you deploy your instruments of knowledge and how much general human knowledge is also expanding. Okay. You are the consciousness. He says, not knower. This reflected consciousness and the mind together is the jiva, the sentient being. It is the knower. Consciousness with focus through instruments of knowledge, pramata. But it is also bhokta. It is the experiencer. That means in the sense of, here it says enjoyer, but bhoga means both enjoyment and suffering, pleasure and pain. It is also the doer in association with the instruments of action, with the body. This reflected consciousness feels, I walk, I talk, I sit, I work, I am exercising, I am boating in the lake. It is the doer. Consciousness in itself, is it a knower? No. Is it an enjoyer or sufferer? No. Is it a doer? No. And to understand that, just think of the movie example. Is the screen, does it know and suffer all the things that the hero is suffering in the travails of the movie? No. Does it do all the actions that King Kong is jumping up and down in Manhattan? Is the screen jumping up and down in sympathy with King Kong? Then the movie will be spoiled. The screen starts jumping up and down in excitement. No. In itself, no. So, Ashtavakra says, you are not the enjoyer or sufferer, you are not the doer of actions also. Chidruposi, you are pure awareness. When? Right now. It's another thing to understand. Consciousness is not cumulative. Cumulative in the sense, after plenty of knowledge, then only I will become pure consciousness. No. If I do not know anything at all, if I do not take one class of Advaita Vedanta at all, I am as much pure consciousness, awareness, as Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, Holy Mother, and the rest of us. All the time. It's not that we become this by a lot of spiritual practice. This becomes clearer to us. Us means the knower now, the jiva, sentient being. Our real nature is that. So you are not the knower, you are not the enjoyer or sufferer, you are not the doer. You, the consciousness. And yet, other than you, there is no knower. There is no enjoyer, sufferer. There is no doer. Think about it. Other than the screen, where is the hero or the villain? Where are the things which you see in the movie? Nowhere. They can't exist. It's like, by the moonlight, the beautiful earth is revealed at night. Correct. It's not revealed by the sunlight. And yet, there's no moonlight without the sunlight. It is the sunlight alone falling on the moon which reveals the earth at night. This is a good example used in Vedanta. Compare the sun to awareness or consciousness. You, the reality. The moon is like the mind. And the moonlight, which is basically reflected sunlight, is like the reflected consciousness. And what actually reveals the world at night? Not the sun directly. It's the reflected light, which we call moonlight. Notice, it's the moonlight which is practically revealing the world, giving us experience of the world at night. But the moonlight also, notice, it's limited. It's not equal, not at all equal to the sunlight. Not only that, it is not original to the moon. It is borrowed from the sun. It's a tiny fraction of the light of the sun. A lot like that, you are that limitless awareness, tiny bit of you. Miserable, fading, little flickering bit, you shine upon the mind, and that becomes knower, pramata, enjoyer and sufferer, bhokta, doer of all actions, karta. So this, what Ashtavakra says, is like a double-edged sword. It has to be understood carefully. You are not the knower, but there is no knower other than you. And Ashtavakra says, you are not bhokta, not the enjoyer, sufferer, but there is no enjoyer, sufferer apart from you. You are not the doer, na karta, but there is no doer apart from you. This is a subtle point, simple point actually. You can easily grasp it with the dream example, with the movie example. We can grasp it, but it has to be grasped. Moving on. This consciousness is effortless. Knowledge requires effort. You have to come to the retreat and get the book and sit and struggle through Ashtavakra's wild sayings. It requires effort. It requires effort. You have to go to college. You have to study and go to college and all of that. It requires effort. But consciousness, what effort does it require to be conscious? None. Swami, you have not attended Vedanta classes. It requires a lot of effort to be conscious. No. Here is the point, really, seriously. The point is that waking, dreaming, deep sleep are states of the mind, not consciousness. You say, I take a cup of coffee and I feel very conscious. I felt less conscious before the cup of coffee. No, it is the mind which gets, the body becomes alert, the mind which is very closely tied to the body becomes alert. If you are sick, if you are tired, then the mind also will feel tired and unwell and dull. But consciousness is the one which reveals the sharp, clear mind. It reveals the dull, quiet mind. Consciousness is that which reveals the awake mind, and it reveals the sleepy mind. It reveals the mind in deep sleep also. Consciousness is not awake. You can say consciousness is always awake. It's like the sun. Because of the sun and the movement of the earth, we have night and day. But in the sun, there is no night and day. Or you can say it's always day, because it's always shining. Because of the movement of the mind, we have waking, dreaming, deep sleep. We have alert and dull, keen and blunt mind, slow, lazy, sharp. All of that is the mind, and connected to the body also. That's why, Bill, who is there in the Vedanta Society, he says that, I can't seem to remember too well these days, Swami. I said, you are doing well, Bill. You are nearly twice my age, and I have the same problem. I can't seem to remember too well. He is 97. It is just the body. When the body slows down, the mind also slows down. And the awareness which revealed the keen mind is now revealing the mind which has slowed down. Awareness, the awareness, that is you. You have not slowed down. You are revealing things just as well. Your performance is still 100%. It's not cumulative. It is effortless. Recognition of this awareness is all that we need, and it is instantaneous. Instantaneous. How long does it take to recognize the screen, to notice the screen in a movie? How long? You are always directly staring at it. You may forget it from time to time to enjoy the movie. But if somebody points out, are you aware of the screen? You'll say, the screen, oh, of course, there it is. Similarly, our real nature, that awareness, instantaneous. If it takes more time, it is the mind which is creating complications. It should be instantaneously available, because it is available to us all the time. Without it, we wouldn't be having any experience. Even the doubts about it require it. Shankaracharya says, Ya esha nirakarta tasyaiva atmasa. Whoever denies this pure consciousness, this awareness, it is the awareness of that one who is denying it. Without that, you cannot deny it also or confirm it. Because of the light of that consciousness, we are ignorant of it. Because of the light of that consciousness, we become enlightened about it. We become enlightened, Brahmagyani. It's because of that consciousness alone. It's instantaneous. Always shining. All the time shining. Effortlessly. You don't have to work at it to make it shine. Now when we look at this verse, you will see. That is what you are. Tat Tvamasi. Say, but only after I realize it. No. Whether you realize it or not, it's there. And you are that. Choicelessly. You don't have to be a non-dualist. If you can be the most committed dualist and believe and have a simple devotion to God, you can be an atheist, you can be Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris or whatever. Whatever you are, whatever our views and ideas and conclusions are, that one consciousness is the same for every one of us.